What's up, bookworms? Welcome to episode 102 of the Cantina Book Club podcast, where readers can find interviews with authors of all genres. I'm Megan, self proclaimed content queen, here to bring you insights from the authors themselves. Each week features a Cantina conversation with an author. Sometimes they're returning guests, and sometimes it's someone new. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode, and feel free to browse through existing episodes so that you can catch a previous interview about a book that you finished. Just a heads up that I often use adult language to express my feelings towards these authors and their work, whether the characters need to get their shit together or I'm encouraging a badass FMC to just say fuck it all and burn the world down. Please be mindful around listening ears. So the week of September 2nd, books coming out this week. It's a good one. We've got The Shattered King by Charlie N. Holmberg. I've read that book. I feel like Charlie N. Holmberg is an author where no matter what story, no matter what book she's got coming out, it's always going to be a good one. And The Shattered King is no exception. White Flight by Bill Hillman, and In Deadly Company by Ellis Stratton, this week's guest. And if any of you are looking for other bookish podcasts, please be sure to check out Book Podcast Connection on Instagram. It's a collection of over 100 bookish podcasts ranging all sorts of genres, whether maybe it's a book to movie adaptation or horror or fantasy or just a book club discussion. There's something for everyone, for anybody who wants a little bit more out of their reading lists. Today's episode features a chat with L.S. Stratton. We're talking about her book In Deadly Company. That book comes out on September 2nd this week. If you're listening this week, it's out now. The book was really good. It's got the White Lotus vibes and it's eerie, but also funny. And it's a commentary on the elite versus the people who the elite think are below them. Think of CEO and their assistant. And this was such a fun chat with Shelley. She's so fun, and it was a little cool to learn about her, like her writing career and how she transitioned from one genre to the next. And I'm really looking forward to everything else that she's got going on in the future. And I recommend In Deadly Company for sure. But without further ado, here is L.S. Stratton. So today we've got L.S. Stratton. We're talking about her book In Deadly Company. That book is available on September 2nd. Shelley, thank you so much for joining me today. This book was, I don't know, it was such a vibe. It was like so cool. I didn't know what was going on. I really liked how you structured it. You kept me on my toes. I'm excited to dig a little bit deeper today.
Cool. Thank you.
So to get started, can you provide like a summary of the book so people like to follow along with the conversation?
Sure. The story is mainly told from the perspective of Nicole Underwood. She is the executive assistant of Xavier Chambers. I actually have a cheat sheet beside me because I'm writing a new book as promoting this one to make sure.
Oh, wow.
I know. So to make sure I
You gotta
don't,
like switch your,
the stories don't overlap. Okay. So she's the assistant of Xavier Chambers. And Xavier was recently made CEO, but since he's ascended the ladder, he's just a complete nightmare of a boss. He wants her to do this big blowout bash for his 32nd birthday. But as the story goes, at the end of the birthday, several people are killed, including Xavier. And it's left basically for everyone to decide who was at fault. And a lot of people perceived that it was probably Nicole. So the story is told in two parts. It's told from the perspective of what really happened at the party, and it's told from the present, where Nicole is having a movie made about the events of that birthday party weekend, and she sees it as a way to tell her side of the story. But we see as the production unfolds and we go back into the past and see how the story unfolds, that the issue of whether or not she was innocent or guilty is a lot more complicated than people think.
Yeah, I know when I think, and that's not like a spoiler really, because we see if you read the blurb,
Yeah.
there's more, and then that's kind of like, well, what was she up to?
I think that's the part I wanted for the reader is basically as you move through the story, you're like, wait, so did she plot the murders? Or wait, did she not plot the murders? What is really going on behind the scenes? And as the story unfolds, it's more and more information that's being fed that shows just how complicated the backstory was to this event. It wasn't as simple as an assistant throwing a birthday party.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. Because as we progress through the story, the reader, yeah, we're getting more information. And I kind of like this because I feel like with suspense thrillers, it can go one of two ways. You can have the main character, learn as like the reader learning things as the character is, or the reader's just like along for the
Yeah.
ride and we're out of the loop. And like the main character knows what's up and has a lot of information. That was like, I could imagine that was like really tricky for you to craft. Like, how much detail do you get to just keep them going and not give too much? You don't want to insult the reader, but you don't want to waste
Exactly.
their time.
Yeah.
You know?
And I
Yeah.
think for a lot of unreliable narrators, which is basically what Nicole is in a way, uh, they're either liars or they're dealing with some type of psychosis that they don't even know what's really going on in the story. But Nicole is fully cognitive. She knows what's happening, but for the sake of the story, she's telling what's happening without telling what's happening. So we're seeing it through her eyes. So of course I know all the details. So I'm just telling you as things are happening, but she's feeding little bits in her narrative. And the story is told from the perspective of other characters who know things that even Nicole didn't know. And so as the reader, you're slowly catching up and it's these twists and turns because you think, oh, she's telling me this. No, that's not what she's telling me. She's telling me this. It's, oh, wow, this is what was happening the whole time. And it's just I know as a reader, as a moviegoer, I love experiences like that. I'm like, I thought this is what was happening, but I guess I was reading it wrong. And to me, it's fun. It's the surprise that I think can make mysteries and thrillers like very exciting. It's the magic trick. And so I appreciate that journey as a reader.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially because I know a lot of writers, they're readers of
Mhm.
this, so that definitely takes a toll on it. Because I feel like, just as fellow readers, if you weren't what you're looking for and what gets you
Yeah.
excited, and then that flows onto the
Yeah.
page, and so other readers can pick up on that if you were having a good time or if you were like, oh my god,
I know.
you
It's
know.
like
So
this is a
like readers pick
slog.
up on for
Yeah.
sure.
No, and to be
Yeah.
honest, even as a writer, and I'm like maybe more seasoned writers, no. I've written a lot of books, but I'm very new to the mystery thriller genre. And you don't, I can't say I know for sure what a reader is expecting or what they want out of a book. I can't anticipate it, but for the most part, I'm like every person the reading is just as personal an experience as writing. So for me, I can say what
Mhm.
I find enjoyable. And so I hope people who read my
Yeah.
books will like that too. But I can never know for sure if they feel that,
Yeah.
oh, wow, that was cheesy, or, oh, I saw that coming. I love that part. I saw it coming the whole time. I'm like, no, you didn't. You may have guessed some parts, but you didn't guess the whole thing. But yes,
Right.
so for me that I'm like, I hope people enjoy the journey just as much as I do, but I can never know for sure. So I'm basically writing a
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
I want to read. So that's my starting point.
You're doing your
It,
best, really. It's like tricky balance for
exactly.
sure. Cause it's funny to like your point about people, can predict or they can or quote unquote predict or they see it coming. It's always like a running joke with my husband and I because after the kids go to bed, we're like, okay, what shows do we have to catch up on? Or is there a movie that we're waiting to see? That's how like we wind down. We have a little ritual. And it's a running joke because he'll like predict it before it's revealed. And 9 times out of 10, at least 8 times out of 10, he's correct.
Okay.
And I'm like, why don't you like go sit in the writer's room? Like, oh,
Yeah.
so they like, oh, I bet it was the sister, or oh, the husband did this before talk to this. Like
Yeah.
he'll like kind of predict points and little reveals, and I'm like, you know what? I don't get mad either. I think I'm just annoyed. I'm like, how do you figure this out? Because I'm the type of consumer of literature and TV and film where I don't always pick up on it, but I think I've come to terms with that. Like I'm okay with that's my experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it makes things a little bit more
I
fun.
would agree. And to me, if guess it, then I'm, oh, so now I'm just waiting to see if I'm right. I'm not really even engaged in the story anymore. I'm like, just get to the point, get to the point. Yes, I was right.
Yeah.
That's the part. And
Yeah.
I don't want my books to be that experience. And that's why too, what I try to do with my stories, in addition to the mystery, I try to another layer. Either I'll have subplots, like in Nicole's stories, there's a romantic subplot, her
Yeah.
issues with her mother, so that you have other elements you're dealing with, or social commentary, because this is very much a story that's very prevalent through our times, how people feel about work, how they feel about the state of the modern workplace. People don't like their jobs. Stress is high, burnout is high. And so, as a character, many people could probably identify with Nicole that she's just trying to get the job done, make her way and achieve what she thinks she's supposed to achieve. But ultimately she finds out like you were so eager to please and prove yourself, but it didn't turn out so good for her when she did that.
Yeah, and it's because you could tell, like, right from the get-go, at least for me, I could tell that, like, Nicole, she was on top of her shit. Like,
Yeah.
she had it down. She was, like, intelligent. She's intuitive. She's, like, really socially intelligent, too, like, emotionally intelligent. She could pick up on things, and she's proactive, and she crosses the T's and dots her
Yeah.
I's. Like, she's on top of it, and you look at her title, and it's like, could argue, no, that's very good qualities. She's like almost the perfect assistant, but she could also be doing so much more.
Yes.
And it's just, it's one of those things where, yeah, absolutely. And plus she's like in her 20s
Yeah.
at this point still, right? I
Yes.
think if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. Yeah. So like she's still like early in her career and she's still got that motivation to an extent. And then she's just like, how, I feel like it's like one of those record scratch moments. I guess you're wondering how I ended up here. It's like,
Basically, when everything goes to hell and I didn't think this was gonna
yeah,
happen. This wasn't the goal for
yeah.
this weekend. But it's part of the reality too of just growing up that and or the what do you really want? And it got to the point that she was so obsessed with being good at her job that she was starting to lose sight of
Mm,
why are you even here? You didn't come here just to be an assistant. But she wanted to do that
right.
job so well that she was getting lost in the weeds. And this whole event becomes her wake up moment of, yeah, I,
Yeah.
I was trying to prove myself, but maybe what I wanted wasn't what I wanted. And she has to come to terms with that.
Yeah. She went above and beyond. She like did her job too well
Exactly.
that they wanted to keep her
Yeah.
there. Like they
And that's what she basically says. Is it where I quit? He's can't quit. And she's no, can't
Mhm.
quit. You can't
Yeah.
leave me. You can't leave me. It was becoming like this weird codependent relationship. And it's no, this isn't going to work. And so that's what I'm like. I think a lot of people can identify with I'm just trying to get through the day. I don't particularly love my job, but I have a job and I'm trying to do the best that I can do.
Yeah.
And uh, but
Absolutely.
again, it really gets very dark for her before the end. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. It was because this book is kind of, at least when I forget who our person is, but when she approached me about this book, she's like, "Oh, it's like White Lotus vibes." I'm like, "Oh, cool." I was like, because I,
Yeah.
that was it's serious, but it's unserious,
Yes.
and it's funny. Like it could balance like that humor and that seriousness, and so I could definitely get that vibe from reading hers because she's kind of like we're in her head for the most part, aside from I think it was like the
Yeah.
flashbacks where you switch her over to third. And it was just funny because you're like something really dark is gonna happen, but then just the whole chaos and the hot mess dumpster fire that's like leading up to it.
Yeah.
And just how there's this dramatic aunt or
Yeah.
whatever, eccentric aunt
Yeah.
and like high maintenance. And then, yeah, there's the boss who's just so showing up wasted to his own party and making people uncomfortable. It was just like, I, and that's the place where this whole thing. And so I thought, yeah, it was like I imagine it was just like tricky to balance those tones and what kind of energy we're going for here, and how are you gonna, how are you gonna kind of like not do it without disrupting,
And
right?
that's the thing. But I will say, like, I'm a huge fan of dark comedy that I think because I was talking to my husband because I was like, some of the reviews I've seen so far, they're like, this book is so fun. But my worry sometimes is that if it's too fun or the humor is too big, you start to lose the meaning of what is the
Mm,
message behind the story. And I'm like, this is still a commentary on wealth. It's a commentary on the one percenters taking advantage of the lower class. And even though I'm cracking jokes, it's still the characters still have a sides where they're like, really? You can't do that yourself? You need me to do that for you? Or they're making jokes about how like someone is completely incompetent, even though they consider themselves like this great CEO, or how he needs his assistant to pay the prostitute that he just had because she
yeah.
doesn't have Venmo, like stuff like that. That was a fun scene.
Yeah, I imagine because then she doesn't even she was
I guess
unfazed.
'cause
She's
she's
like,
so
"Ah,
used
okay,
to
again."
it.
Like it was
Yeah.
like her first
Yeah, and
rodeo.
she's
Yeah.
like, he's a child, but he's the head of the company,
Yeah.
and I have to work for him. And I wanted the humor to be there, but also to be understood that, yeah, this is dark. It's going to lead to chaos and death because these people are just completely incompetent and assuming that they can buy anything, including people, and get them to
Yeah.
do stuff for them. And when that whole system
Yeah.
falls apart, then you see the chaos and how they turn on each other without giving too much away. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, right? It's yeah, we'll do our but I want to hop back to you. I want to like your background because you said you're new to like
Yeah.
suspense thriller.
Mhm.
I want to talk about like how your previous titles that you've released and like how you've grown as a writer and how you approached this book compared to your previous works and like your experience switching stuff like that.
Sure. I started off in romance. And that is probably the thing that I was most comfortable with. I've been doing romances since the beginning of my career. I started writing romance back in college. I won a first time writers contest. I didn't think I was going to win because I had been writing in my notebook different stories, and my mom had encouraged me to try to become a professional author. But I was like, yeah, okay, you're right. But this writers contest happened, and with BET Books is now defunct, and they were looking for aspiring authors, a short story. And so I submitted it, and I submitted it, I think, the day before the deadline because I was like, do I want to do it? Do I
Oh,
want to do it? Do I want to do it? I was like, FedEx, send it, forget about it. Then I got a phone call that said I was one of the finalists, and I was completely shocked because I was like, this was a national contest. And they selected four authors that they wanted to be part of the anthology. And that's when I really started to think, oh, I can be a serious writer. After I graduated college, I became a reporter. I worked for a
okay.
newspaper where I was a crime reporter for a while. So I was covering like Hells Angels raids, drug busts. I really didn't have time to write fiction. So once I moved along in my career and I think I switched to like magazine editing, I had a little bit more time. And that's when I tried to get an agent. Did not get an agent. But I got published unagented, and I started to write romance books. I did that for a while. And I love romance because I love the chemistry between characters. I love the story flow. But I started to notice after a while that my subplots were getting bigger and they were starting to
Mm,
be about as equal as the story itself. And so the editor that I had at the time, I was at Kensington Publishing, and her name was Mercedes Fernandez. And she's like, why don't you try like a spicy woman's fiction? So that's when I decided to go in that direction. So that's when I started to see like the mystery elements creeping in. I think I did like a family series where one of the characters was shot, and it was all of them trying to figure out who shot him. And so I started to feel like I think I like mystery, the thriller a little bit more now than I like romance. And I always say as a writer, this should be as fun as possible. If you have to sit at a laptop for hours at a time. You have to get revision notes from an editor where you have to rip apart your story and start all over again. At least enjoy what you're doing. So if it was getting to the point where romance was a drudgery, then move on to something else. So
Mm,
that's when I started to write mystery
mm.
thrillers. And luckily, my agent, she had plenty of mystery thriller authors, which means she knew plenty of mystery thriller editors who were looking for work. And she submitted my completed book, and we got an offer. And my first thriller was Not So Perfect Strangers, which was about in 2023. It was published in 2023. So from that point on, I was like, I guess I'm doing mystery and thrillers now. I enjoy it. We'll see if I change my mind again. I think actually I'm doing YA now, and the mystery thriller I have for that has a paranormal element. So who knows? I might go into horror too.
The world is your oyster. No, I think that's like really cool that you learn as you continue working. Like you learn what you like and what you're good at, and what also because the industry, the readers, what the trends like change so much, and it's by the time you sign, and then it could be a year from that to
Yeah.
publication, and so it's really hard to predict if the trend is still going to be going hot by the time the book is released. So I appreciate the struggle that writers and authors and like even the agents and stuff like that go through to just try to keep up to date with
Yeah.
everything. And then also try to like fulfill that need in yourself too. You don't want to necessarily take the trend. You hope that you are really enjoying what you're reading, and that is also happens to be clicking with a larger audience at that
Yeah.
time. But that's always funny. I've never heard the term like spicy women's fiction, but I can see where you're like, you want a little bit more
Yes.
in the romance.
Yeah.
Like you don't want just romance, which I appreciate because I enjoy romance. And I've read various levels of closed door or fade to black versus why I choose dark romance, and where it's 70% open door scenes, it seems
Yeah.
like. And that's fine. It's like not to get on any of the readers' case who enjoy that stuff. But me personally, like I like a little something deeper. I like a little something extra with the
Yeah.
romance. And so I love that how you were like, nah, maybe because even in Deadly Company, you have that like romance
Yeah.
subplot. So I could tell
I
you were
can't
like,
let it go.
you were still getting it in
Yeah,
there.
people are
Yeah.
like, I actually prefer for my thrillers not to have romance. And I like, then you're not going to like mine because it's going to creep in there. It's
Yeah.
something to me, it's definitely a way to add higher stakes too. If you have characters who are now emotionally involved with each other, as opposed to like just this
Mhm.
goal. And for me, adding
Yeah.
that element also added another dimension to her because part of it is that she's so dedicated to her job, she didn't have a romantic life. And now she's facing the reality of what that means that you kept pushing that away for so long. Now you can't push it away.
Yeah, that was also like a funny subplot
Yeah.
too, because again, turned out to be like
Yeah.
spoilery when she's trying to like do damage control and things go crazy, and then she needs her mom, but she's got to explain things to her mom, and her mom is so
I
confused,
know.
and it's just
It was
like
like, what?
I know it was like
Hey, she's like,
yeah,
no, mom, that's not what
yeah.
it
You're like,
quickly.
really? This is what you're asking? Like
Exactly,
I
out
like
of all of this.
yeah, her mind's not even daughter. Like
Exactly. But yeah, I thought
I know
it's like
I
this a
enjoyed that.
fun it's a fun side quest for her to have to deal with. It's oh man, now I got to deal with this guy too, and it's like I'm just trying to get my job done, and this is it's just a spiraling, getting crazy. So yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know what to think about Jeremiah at first. Jeremiah, right? I
yes,
think when
you're
I was
correct.
taking my notes,
You're
I was
correct.
like,
That is Jeremiah.
good. When I was like taking my notes, I was like, I had it written down somewhere, and then I like just wrote Jer. So I was like, here this, here
Yeah,
that. So yeah, I liked him as a character, even though like, I didn't know what his deal
yeah,
was. And you introduced him. I was like, yeah, she met him for a specific
mhm,
purpose, for a specific reason. And then he is, wait a second. He is like, absolutely not. No, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And so I love that how that added also just like the kind of the depth of the characters a little
yeah.
bit, and also just opportunities for more messiness. I just love the messiness.
I
And,
love it too. I'm that meme of I love mess is like there is to me to add that to the story. with pulling it all together by the end. But I'm like, I love messy stories or things are like, what? Or oh. And like I love those moments in books and TV shows.
Yeah, I know, especially with just all the drama in between all the characters. And were they involved? Were they not
I
involved?
know.
There's rumors, and there's these rumors, and who said what, and is it true, and does it
Yeah.
matter? And once it all comes crashing down, it was just like, oh man, this is
Yeah.
juicy. This is
When
like
they all have the
I can
standoff.
totally imagine it was like,
Yeah. And they all turn on each other. It was like, oh,
yeah,
everything's coming to light
yeah.
now.
Oh my god. I know, and he's just like, I guess we're just gonna do this with you here, fine. And Jeremiah, he's just way over his
I
head.
know.
He was like, I got no stake in this. I've got no like chickens in this fight. Whatever you wanna,
Exactly.
you whatever you want a metaphor. You I don't care. I can leave. And
Exactly. They
then
were like, no.
it was just. I think the aunt is just also reveals her character too, because she's no, don't tell me. You don't. She didn't like being told what to do or being told no or whatever.
No.
And he was just like, fine, I don't. Whatever, do this. It was so messy and it was hilarious. It was just like, yeah. And that was like part of where as the reader, we're like, we're waiting, we're sitting there. I wanted a seat at the table and I would have been like eating my popcorn, like
Exactly.
waiting for the mess to happen and just like all the drama. So you can, there's something like ask if there's, we can go as personal as you want, but were there any personal experiences that you drawed upon when you're like coming up with any of these conflicts or character developments, or maybe even not in like in Deadly Company, but like in your writing in general? Like, how do you navigate maybe some sensitive themes? Because I'm thinking like, just obviously there's like death and questionable infidelity and stuff like that, but it's also going a little bit deeper, like how you mentioned her relationship with her mom, or like someone being a con artist, or someone, and then the commentary on the 1% versus the rest and the entitlement. So I just want to explore if there was anything like where you drew that from, like any research, for example, stuff like that. Like it's usually, I know it's like a loaded question, but I feel like it could be like fun to figure that out.
Here, as so far as the characters, there are a lot of contemporary examples that I had to pull from. I won't say specific names on the world stage, but I had fun. I had fun pulling from like certain personality types that I've seen, and just like the grandiose personality and the legend in their own mind. It's I know what I'm doing and stuff like that. As far as Nicole in the relationship with her mom and even like her confidence in herself, I think as a 20-year-old, I went through something very similar. It's like you're a grown up, but you're not quite a grown up yet. And so you're still going through figuring out who you are, what you want. And a lot of it can be trial by fire sometimes, that you have experiences that kind of hone you and that you're like, okay, like when I was in college, like I started off as an engineering major and I was like this,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
I was like her and like this overachiever in high school. I was third in my class and I was like expectations of great things. And then when I got to college, I failed. I'll just say it, I failed. My first school, like I didn't do well. I lost my scholarship. And then I'm like, okay, that was my whole identity. So what now? And so for
Mm.
to me, Nicole kind of goes through something similar is that she, for most of her life, did so well for so long. And now this is the first time where she says, I don't have my armor. Like I don't know what to do. I don't know the path forward at this point and to figure out like where's the next step. And so the present is her losing that confidence or that, like you said, that she seems to have her shit together. She knows what she's like, but she's lost all that by the time we see her in the present. That I'm hoping that the movie will help me look better, but frankly, outside of the film, I don't really know what to do. I don't Things got so far out of control that I don't know the path forward until you reach the end. You're like, does she figure out what is the next step after everything fell apart? But yeah, that I would say that is
Yeah, I appreciate that authenticity and vulnerability, because with the day and age of everyone's lives are blasted on social media, just because as I'm getting older, like I'm approaching 40 and I'm a mom and I'm like, but I totally appreciate that. And that resonates. I think that's going to resonate with a lot of readers of this. Like you were so focused on one thing and like, you're like, oh, this is the path and I'm really good at this and this is going to be it. And then it's like a whole new ball game
Yeah.
once you reach that next level. And then you're like, what now? Because you didn't really prepare for this scenario.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, the older I'm getting, I'm realizing like, it's okay. You can do whatever you want. Like you have the rest of your life to like, I don't want to seem like too optimistic or rose colored glasses, but it just reminds me of people who are like my husband's and his friends or somebody who they said, oh, I wonder if like, why am I not where I figured I should be? And I'm like, we're still young. Like we're in our 30s.
Yeah.
Like you could get 10, 20 more years to like be a baller to get to where you want to be. And I wouldn't say don't feel like you got there too late because it's, to sound cliche, like it's the journey, it's the experience. If that's the kind of that's the meat and potatoes of it, like figuring it out and figuring yourself out. Because I'm imagining once you figure yourself out and that whole writing contest, you were like, oh my God, like
it was
you
a door
have
opening.
so much motivation.
Yeah, it was. And I think that's the thing is that you realize that even though the path that you thought you were going to follow doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that's the end. It's just figuring out what's the other door, or if you are still set on that path, what's the other way to get there if the current expectation isn't working. And so for me to show that in the character, like I said, by the time the reader sees her, she's very lost. She doesn't know what to do, and she just needs that kick in the butt to figure out, okay, that was the plan, and you thought this was going to work, and it's not working. So what do we do now? And even like I don't want to give too much away, but a character basically says, you have the tools, you've always had them. It's just figuring out how to use it. And once you figure it out, you'll be set. Yeah, I think that's probably
the character shook her for, girl, you're a badass bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
like
you know,
doing? You're just sitting here wallowing
you're
in
capable.
self-pity.
Yeah.
Get it together. But yeah.
It did remind, no, I thought that resume, I related to her in that way because I got laid off like about 4 or 5 months ago. And so at first I was like, well, I'll be fine. Like, I'm really like, because I was like in marketing, but I know how to do so many, I'm like a Jill of all, how to do a lot of different stuff. And so I was like, oh, I'll be fine. And I was picking up freelance projects here and there in the meantime. But now but it's true. I'm sitting here. Do I want to go back to another 9 to 5? Do I want to just market myself as a freelancer? Because it's like, I got 2 boys, they're elementary school age. So like, they're still, it's helpful that I'm available. And we're lucky that like we live modestly. We have a modest sized house, and my husband, he's an engineer. He's good. And he's been doing that ever since he graduated, and he loves it. He thrives. But yeah, that resonated with me because I'm like, oh, Nicole, I felt like I could relate to like her in her 20s. And then even now, like the universe is like bringing these sentiments like back to me. It's kind of like where I'm going.
What you want to do?
And even my therapist, she was like, this could be a gift. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, at first it was like, I didn't necessarily see it that way, but you're absolutely right. Like this could be something that provides an opportunity. And that's what that reminded me of with the character convincing Nicole, like, what are you doing? Do this. Like you have it in you, and you know what to do. You know what to do and how to do it. Like, so what are you waiting for? And I feel like all of us need that.
That's what, to me, like, especially in the current environment we're in, there's lots of layoffs. There are a lot of people who are, and even as the generations that are coming in, it was like, I think they were like the Gen Z are seeing the highest unemployment numbers coming out of college. And so I'm like, so these two are people who are like, I was promised one path that when I graduated, I was going to go in this direction, and now doors are being slammed. So what do I do now? And that's what I was like, I think I didn't intend to write a story that felt very contemporary and applicable to the world as it is now, but it's turning into that she's that person. It's what do I do now? Work was my life, and now it can't be anymore. So where do I go? But yeah. Yeah. And all that wrapped up
Yeah.
in
Yeah. And
dark
it
comedy
is
mystery.
like, yeah, I know part of me was like wishing I had like her confidence, even though it was like, cause and she knows so much dirt on all these people. And so
Yeah.
she knows like, she had that added confidence because of it. She was like, who do you think you're talking to? She's like, I know, like, I've been working for you
Yeah.
for X amount of years. She's like, how, and so, yeah, it was, but you're absolutely right. Cause I graduated my bachelor's in 2009, and that's when we had a bad recession. And so I'm totally like, understand what these people, this new class coming out, what they're dealing with, because it's rough. And it's just, yeah, absolutely. Like, I did the
Yeah.
thing, and now this is not
Yeah.
happening. This is not, and it's like there's so many layers to it. But yeah, absolutely. And again, to your point, the 1% and how they're entitled, and it's only getting worse.
Yeah.
Like the wealth and concentration is only, and which is ridiculous to me. It's like, how have we not? Like, how have we not figured it out by now, or how is it still getting so much worse? We know
Yeah.
why, but it's like there's been the powers that be
Yeah.
that came into power and that did the
Yeah.
things and didn't care about what they were doing to other people. But yeah, but no, there's
Oh,
parallels.
yeah.
Parallels just happen when you're writing for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So we doing good on time? Yeah. Okay. So otherwise, I would talk your ear off or whatever. So let's see. Oh, what were the most challenging parts to write? What were the most enjoyable parts to write?
Oh my gosh. The most challenging parts were probably, I would say, telling the story from the present and trying to make it relevant, but not give away too much. So I wanted to give, the movie is being made and she's literally watching scenes of stuff that happened to her that I'm not giving too much away in the scenes or the discussions that they're having about the film so that it's still a surprise for the reader. And to me, that's always tricky as a mystery author. It's like you don't want to cheat, like you don't want to lie and withhold information that doesn't make sense to withhold. But you don't want to give away too much that you ruin it for the reader. The fun parts were definitely writing Xavier's story, his parts, because he's such a mess. He's all id. So you
Yeah.
could give him the best lines. I'm like, and his aunt also, I gave her good lines too, because it's like they just go about their lives and they say things and they do things and they don't think about the impact that it has on other people. So they'll come out the mouth and
Yeah.
you're like, okay. They'll just go about their business and you're like, okay, I guess we're doing that now. So yeah, Xavier was definitely a fun character to write.
I imagine those. Yeah, even as messy and chaotic as he is, that's still the more fun
Yes.
characters to write when they're like going, they're not. It's what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, and he doesn't even think
it's
about
fun.
it. She'll even say the different things that he's
No.
done as her boss, and she even told him at one point, like, those aren't my duties as your assistant. And he's, who gives it? It's just pick up my dry cleaning. I don't need to hear about this. Okay, I'll go pick up the dry cleaning then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like I don't. It's the entitlement where they just like, what do you mean? Just like they're used to not having to deal with or not
Yeah.
hearing no or. They're just like, oh, just what do you mean? Just do it. Like,
Yeah, and
it's not.
some of the stuff that I had him doing is actual. I read articles, and I would say that's some of the research I did. I read articles of personal assistants in different industries, some in Hollywood, some for tech companies, and they were talking about the different things that their bosses had asked them to do. And
Oh my God.
with the picture that he sent, one said it was a woman, that she sent a picture to her assistant and told her to send it to her doctor. So yeah, I didn't make up that one.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious to be a fly on the wall in anyone's like day to day. And just like the wildness that we don't see, like, but it's probably business as usual for people like that. That's, oh my
She was like,
God.
I don't
That's
know why you
hilarious.
want me to have that on my phone, but she sent it to me and she was like,
Yeah.
send this to my doctor. I need an evaluation. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I remember she was like, I don't need another picture of his like genitals. And she's, yeah, and I went like, I don't need to see it
Exactly.
again.
He's like, there's
Like,
something
again.
there. I don't know what it is. Send it to my doctor. I don't know. I don't have my doctor's number.
Oh
So
my God.
is he gonna warn me from
It's not something you ask like your wife. No, but you don't have a wife. You have a personal
my personal
assistant.
assistant? She was,
Like,
oh
oh
my
my
God,
God.
you sent me a picture. Oh yeah.
This was not in my job description.
Exactly.
Let's see. So, Ellis Stratton, what is next for you? Are you working on anything that you could talk about?
Sure. I have a young adult book that's coming out in January. It's with a different publisher, but it's also a mystery. It's a lot more serious subject matter. It's about a young girl who is on vacation with her family, and her background is that she was once a missing girl. And now that she's back with her family, they're
Mm.
trying to bond. The therapist suggests, like, why don't you guys go on a vacation together, change the setting, see if it helps you connect after she's been gone for so long and she's trying to reconnect with her family. But the town that they chose, they found out used to be a sundown town. And so now she's
Yeah.
noticing that there's weird things. She was like, the town has this weird smell, and her family's lit smell. She was like, you don't smell that? You don't smell the rot? And I was like, no, I don't smell anything. And she's starting to see a girl in the woods that nobody else can see. And so the story unfolds when girls start to go missing. And she starts to connect it to the past
Whoa.
that's happened in this town and see what that connection is as she tries to find these missing girls because she feels a connection to them because she was once a missing girl. She's also learning more about the lore of this town and why she's starting to smell things and see things that nobody else can see.
That's crazy. That's wild. And I hope you're taking care of yourself as you're
Oh,
writing
yeah.
about deep
Oh,
subject
no.
matter. You
That's
know,
one
like,
reason why I
'cause
read
I
In
imagine you're
Deadly
getting into
Company.
it.
The one reason why I wrote it, because I was like, I'm dealing with this really intense stuff. I need an emotional break. I need something comedic to make me feel better.
Yeah.
But yeah, the name of the book is Sundown Girls, and it comes out in January. And then after that, the novel that I'm working on now is another adult novel. And it's the perspective of a woman who is in a relationship. She's happy, at least she's claims she's happy. She's engaged, but she just can't let go of the memory of her boyfriend who committed suicide. And as a
Mm.
crime investigation is being released about a woman who was killed on a college campus, and the suspect is her boyfriend who committed suicide, she starts to re examine her past and things that happened and try to figure out how is it true? Did he kill her? And how does this connect to the present? Because she's starting to experience things in the present as well. And she's wondering, does it have something to do with that murder and her boyfriend's friends and all the thing that was happening on their college campus at that?
Whoa. Yeah, that's crazy. Those are two very intriguing
Yeah.
plots that I would definitely want to, at least for me, I'll keep my
Oh,
eye
thank
out
you.
because yeah, because I like following all different types of genres. And so something like that, I'm just gonna be like, and I think I draw myself to the more historical fiction I read, the more I find myself that I enjoy
Yeah.
it because it's different pers from these different whoever has a story to tell and how they're telling it. And so I appreciate historical fiction. So yeah, the Sundown Girls, that's gonna be that
Yeah.
sounds like a heavy
It's
one.
going to
So
be, it's
yeah, I'm glad that you
definitely
were
an
able to
intense
like put the
story.
feelings.
Yeah, but I felt that shockingly, I tried to find lots of books about sundown towns, and I didn't. At least not a lot of fictional books. And yeah,
Huh.
I thought that was strange. And so to be able to talk about it, because even my editor, and she had studied African American studies at her university, and she was like, we didn't really go over this. I think most people have a passing knowledge of it, but the history of it and how prevalent it was, because I was shocked at like
That's
towns in my
yeah.
neighborhood that I know I've frequented. I have friends who live there that used to be legally sundown town. And so to know that past is literally everywhere, but it's not talked about a lot, that I was like, all right, I think it's time to tackle this subject.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that I only learned the term sundown town
Yeah.
like within the last because we just there's certain subject matters with like marginalized groups that tend to like get squashed
Yeah.
down. Like people don't want to talk about it, and these things happen because if you're not aware of it, then you're in denial
Yeah.
that it's real and it still exists.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's to me, that's ridiculous and heartbreaking. And it's just there's so many. It's so ridiculous. I don't know. I'm just like I don't understand the psyche,
Yeah.
like the mentality of that, where you straight up like you have so much hate in your heart and so much you feel like you're the authority on that because of that specific thing that like it takes so much energy. Like just I don't know. It's just
no,
like,
I
but yeah,
completely
like
get
so
it.
downtown. It's like it's
I
crazy. It's
completely agree.
crazy.
And like I
Yeah.
knew about it from the perspective of the Black community, but I had no idea how many other communities have been impacted. Like out west, how basically there were sometimes that sundown towns, very prominent cities now that you would know, that banned Chinese from living there. Or sundown towns in the Southwest. There was one town that literally had a siren that went off at 6 o'clock at night to tell all the Native Americans, get out of the community. And if you're caught here, you get arrested. And the siren just stopped blaring maybe in 2023. They had to go through legal proceedings.
It's
Yeah,
disgusting.
and they were like, it's just like it didn't always mean that. And it's just you're whitewashing the past and like you guys are making stuff too personal. But they were like, before this community, symbolically, even if it's not enforced anymore, that siren is incredibly hurtful. So we'd appreciate it
Oh
if
yeah.
you would stop blaring it at 6 o'clock at night, even if it's not
Right.
enforced anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like why is it still
And that's
up?
what
Like
people
why
are
is it
like.
still
If it
doing it?
doesn't, they
Like
were like, it helps us keep time. You have blocks. There is no reason to still blare that siren. So yeah.
that's the stupidest response.
So
Oh my god.
yeah. So
Yeah.
researching for that one was interesting because I was like, I had no idea how many other communities were affected with cities that I never would have thought would have had enforcement measures like that because the identities of these towns now, or even large cities now, that have big representation of these communities, what they used to be like.
Perfect. Okay, so Ellis Stratton in Deadly Company, that book comes out on September 2nd. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate, like I said, the vulnerability, the authenticity in your answers. And we listen to each other ramble on. It's all good. I'm going to keep an eye out for your books. And if and when you're ready, you want to come back on, I'd love to chat with you again.
And there you go. That was Ella Stratton talking about her book In Deadly Company. That book comes out on September 2nd this week if you're listening to it right now. Please check out the show notes where you can find links to find Ella Stratton online and on social media, all her pen names, all her accounts. Please find Cantina Book Club while you're at it. Rate, review, subscribe. If you need book recommendations, check out cantinabookclub.com. I'm always putting up reviews on all sorts of genres. I really appreciate it if you guys go take a look. And also, you can reach out to me directly if you need any book recommendations. If you're reading a book and you love the title, you love the author's work, one of the easiest ways to support them is to leave a rating and review on Amazon or Goodreads. Wherever you look for book reviews or book recommendations, it really does help the authors out. Speaking of helping people out for free, I'd love it if you could go find Cantina Book Club on your favorite podcast player, Spotify, Apple, Podchaser, Podbean, anything on YouTube as well, and hit subscribe, follow, give me a reading and review so that I can reach more listeners. And if you have friends who are also looking for book recommendations, point them my way. They could check out the website or they can reach out to me directly. I really appreciate it. I love meeting and talking to new readers. And as always, thank you guys so much for listening.